Mr. Spangler, can you tell me that story you started to tell me about Greg and when he was born?
Okay, I went on R&R to Japan, and I knew she was due to have birth any time. And I called her home, she was staying with her parents. So I called their house, and her sister was there, and I answered the phone, and I told her what I was wanting, and he said, she's in the hospital in Kokomo. So she gave me her number in the hospital, and I called there. And of course, in those days, there wasn't a phone in every room. It was out in the hall, or nurse's center. So I talked to the nurse, and they wheeled her out of her room down there, and Greg had been born how many hours before? 15 hours before that.
Oh.
So I talked to her at the hospital and heard about when I was in Japan on R&R.
You served in the Army? What branch of service?
Army.
U.S. Army. And do you happen to remember your induction date or around the year?
July 11th, 52.
When were you discharged in?
April 14th, 54.
Where did you go, like you left home, did you go to Indianapolis to join up with other inductees, or how did that work?
Went to Kokomo. From there we went to Michigan. I forget the name of the camp in Michigan for a day or two. And then I went to Breckenridge, Kentucky, which is south of Evansville, Indiana, about 20 miles.
But Charles got to go to Korea, see the world, huh?
It was 30 to 35 below, and I got frostbite on my legs.
Oh.
And I still have problems with that.
Is that right?
It's hurt the circulation in my legs, and
oh, yes.
things aren't working too good. I drove for a battalion commander, the first battalion of the 38th Regiment, 2nd Division. And he was a little hard to get along with. He was very much military, and things had to go his way or he wasn't very happy about it. So he was a little bit difficult to work with.
Now when you say you drove for him, I picture a Jeep and you were in the driver's seat and he sat in the back, or was it like a car that you drove him places?
We was in the Jeep, of course, I had a front seat and a back seat. And the amazing thing, the back seat in those days, we didn't have cell phones and stuff.
Yeah.
So there was a big radio set in the back, on the edge of the back seat, and a man with the radio would sit there to operate it.
Oh, that was his job.
So he sat in the back, and the officer sat next to me in the front.
Oh, did he tell you how to drive, or?
Well, I was used to these straight country roads in Howard County. We got there, and it was all mountains and curves, and if I got lost, he said, I thought you was a farm boy. I said, I am, but I said, where I'm from, the roads are a mile apart, square, not crooked. The reason when I went to basic, I was classified to be a mechanic. So I took mechanic school here in the States, in my basic. I got over there and they said, we don't need no mechanics. We got enough mechanics, we need Jeep drivers.
Do you remember the names of any of the officers that you drove?
No.
You drove for one of the presidents too.
Well, no, not the president. Who ran against Eisenhower in the election from Illinois?
Stevens?
Oh, Stevenson.
You drove for him? Drove for Adlai Stevenson? Well, what, was he an officer then?
No, he just come to visit.
Oh.
We had politicians come like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I got to drive them.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's pretty good. So what can you tell us about Adlai Stevenson?
Well, not a lot, because all I did was drive him a little bit. Of course, I let him do the talking. I didn't ask many questions because I was driving.
But you drove the Jeep and you were a fighter.
Well,
Yeah,
you do both.
I'm sure.
So thank you very much, both of you today.
You're welcome.